as the welcomer here, I just want to say that the board members and I and everyone who works here at Father Bill's and Mainspring are just so excited about this day and glad that you're all here. It's a good turnout. In fact, it's a fantastic turnout, which shows again the interest that people have in dealing with the homeless problem in Massachusetts and here in Quincy, and in our new place that's being developed in Brockton. So with that, I want to call up four wonderful, beautiful young women who are going to provide us with the national anthem. Mary Doherty, Tess Luzon, Lun Zhao, and Maya Egan from Quincy High and from North Quincy. So please.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, this is a great day. I want to welcome everybody to the new Yawkey Housing Resource Center. First, why are we having a ribbon cutting on a construction site? Well, because we know this crowd, and we know that a ribbon cutting in August would not be ideal, as a lot of people would be on the Cape. Also, this project is a part of a much larger city development, and we need to move as fast as possible all of our guests at Father Bill's Place over to the Yawkey Housing Resource Center as soon as we can. To our donors and our supporters that are here today, we will absolutely welcome and reach out to you when this is a 100% completed project for you to see what you've helped bring and support over the summer for private tours. Wow, what a turnout today. This is so impressive. Why are so many people here? Because all of you believe in what we believe. Nobody should be homeless. All of you are our partners on this project, but more importantly, on a new way to combat homelessness. This is not about just providing a bed and a meal. It's about ending homelessness one life at a time. I want to especially thank our board of directors for believing in this new model of how to end homelessness. Thank you to all of our board of directors that are here today. How do we do this? We do it with a new service delivery model in a new facility, the Yawkey Housing Resource Center. This center will provide 24/7 care. It will focus on preventing homelessness. It will focus on diverting people when they're coming from other state systems of care. And if people still experience homelessness in our community and need an emergency shelter bed here, we will do our best to rapidly rehouse them immediately. It will have a licensed medical clinic operated by Manat Health Center. And I know Cynthia Sierra and her team is here. We're excited to have you guys be part of this project. It will have medical respite beds. You know, when you and I have to go to the hospital and have surgery, or if we've had a family member struggling with cancer and going through chemo treatments, we get to go home and have visiting nurses and get taken care of. But when you're homeless and you don't have a home, you sit inpatient, even if you don't need to be there. And it's costly to the hospital. We're going to provide 12 medical respite beds for people that we're talking about that are experiencing homeless but can come here and have visiting nurses, stay here 24/7, acute care so they're not sitting in the emergency rooms and not sitting in the inpatient units. We will have, and we're excited to have, for our veterans, the VA has already signed up to purchase 4 of those beds for any veteran in the area that needs that kind of service. We will have providers. Many of you are here today, like Bay State Community Services, providing substance use, behavioral health services, Volunteers of America, the VA, and many other service providers like Interface Social Services. At Father Bill's Place now, we can't bring all of the services in. It's too small. But a resource center is exactly that. People will come here not just because they're experiencing homelessness. We want people to come here or call us when they start facing a housing crisis. The other exciting thing about this project is what's always been my passion and this organization's commitment is to end homelessness. So one building will be the resource center, and the other building will be 30 permanent supportive housing units for people struggling with homelessness. All of you helped us get here today. If it was helping with the political will needed, helping fund this project, providing services to our guests, and volunteering with our mission, this building needs to be for the people that don't just need it for shelter, but people who might need us in the future just to get some services. Special shout out to this team that has helped put this project together, to our development team that's been helping around the clock to make this project work. So first, of course, is our development consultants and owners project manager, Neighborhood Housing Services, who many of you know is a great partner in this region in the city of Quincy. A special shout out to Dave Lovering and also Emily Rothschild that has been very hands-on about this project. Our architects, Narrowgate, Bob Wegner, our general contractor, and I know Mike Fish is here, and a special shout out to Mike O'Connell, Delbrook JKS. Thank you for this beautiful project. And of course, every housing project, affordable housing project, needs tremendous attorneys. So to Hackett Feinberg and Matera and Vopet, thank you for bringing this project home. Now, Father Bill's in Mainspring operates over 700 units of supportive housing, just like what you'll see today. 246 of those units are in the city of Quincy. And why we're proud of that is to know that 246 are in Quincy, but we know that homelessness is not just a local issue. It's a regional issue, it's a state issue, and it's a national issue. And to know that we've got communities like Weymouth, Braintree, Randolph, Hingham, yes, Hingham, Hull, Plymouth, Wareham, All these communities, Brockton, have stepped up and allowed Father Bill's in Mainspring to not just let cities like Quincy and Brockton and Plymouth take on all the responsibility, but we all need to share the responsibility. To know that we've done 500 units outside of Quincy is tremendous. I know there's a lot of stakeholders from outside of Quincy. Thank you for allowing us to continue to develop in all of those communities. Thank you. "93% of the people that are in our housing stay housed more than 3 years. And our housing, our supportive housing, isn't for the person that just needs us for a few days or a few nights, and then we help them get into mainstream housing. Our housing is for the person that we struggles episodically with homelessness, year after year, day after day, in and out of our emergency rooms, in and out of our detoxes, in and out of our corrections, in and out of our psych hospitals. And what we know is that the people that many of us see in other communities and other cities, and even cities very close to here, they have a large unsheltered population. Places like Father Bill's in Mainspring, in NeighborWorks in the South Shore, really believe in a low threshold housing model. And to see that people that we're targeting, a lot of times our community says, or people say aren't worthy. We've said everybody is worthy. And giving somebody a key, being able to close that door, allows them to bring back and start working on the things that will help them even move out of our housing and get back into the community. So thank you again for all of your support. You know, a couple of years ago, Father Bill's in Mainspring had a new model, the delivery model I've been talking about, preventing, diverting, and triaging people. But we didn't have a building. But it was in our strategic plan. This is what we wanted to do. And then we had a meeting with the mayor a couple of years ago. And he told us about the grand plan that's coming to fruition for the city of Quincy here with a new police headquarters. And as we talked about the future of Father Bill's and where do we go, knowing that that's a city land and city building, I said, could we ever consider this new model and consider and let us be part of the development that you have planned? And we talked about how this would be bold, that we've researched the country, and not a lot of people have tried to do what we're going to try to pull off. But what a partner the city of Quincy is. They were supportive of acquiring the land with us. They provided a 99-year lease. The Affordable Housing Trust committed $1 million to the project. Now that's political will at its finest. So with that, I want to thank, of course, all the city councilors and the mayor and everybody, the planning department, for all of your support for this project. And with that, I'm proud to announce and have Mayor Cope welcome everybody here today. So please welcome and round of applause to our great mayor, Mayor Cope.
Thank you, John. My recollection may not be quite that smooth, but nonetheless, we're getting there. I think John's color went out of his face when I told him we were evicting him for our building. But we finished the sentence with, we're not going to leave the homeless homeless. We were committed to the entire project, and I want to thank John for your work on this and your leadership, but also to Jim Fatsy's entire planning team, the Affordable Housing Trust, just been remarkable, and the corporate citizens of this great city. They constantly step up to support and help in these projects. So it's kind of a family affair. I see Mike Fish is here, Delbrook, he's doing this side of the street. John Fish and Suffolk are doing the other side of the street. So we know we're in good hands with both great companies. I know we have a long agenda here today, a lot of speakers. I'd just like to remember Father Bill McCarthy and in his spirit. And I see Joe Finn back there, who's been an incredible statewide leader on these issues for a long time. Good to see you, Joe. But there's an old Christian hymn called Hosea, and one of the verses in there says, "Trees do bend, though straight and tall, so must we to others call." And this truly responds to others' call. So in the spirit of Father Bill's, congratulations and good luck.
Thanks, Mayor, and I'm so glad that you said it, not I. You always need a good friends and a good friend at the State House. Ron Mariano was a great friend of Father Bill McCarthy's. He was been a long friend for our mission. We met in his office a few years ago with Phil Edmondson to discuss this particular project. And I'm not sure, Ron, if you believed we could pull it off, but you stayed steadfast in your support, both at the local level and at the state level, to make this happen. Thank you, Speaker, for helping make this day. Thank you for your friendship. And I also want to say thank you to the whole delegation. I know Senator Keenan's here, Rep. Chan, and Rep. Ayers. We had everybody telling the state to fund this project, and everybody telling the administration to fund this project. And we couldn't have done it without the delegation, and especially without the Speaker. So with that, please welcome Speaker Ron Mariano.
This is a beautiful day. First time I've seen John smile in about 5 years. That's the first thing I noticed when I walked in here. A few smiling faces, which is great to see. My relationship with this project is kind of interesting, and it began with Joe Finn knocking on my door many years ago. And not that I've been around too long, but and some pointed questions at Joe. Like, I'm tired of you folks coming in asking for money and then not seeing any results. And Joe made a commitment, which I'm sure he regrets to this day, that he would be back. If I got him the money that year, he would be back next year and show me exactly what he did with that money. And he did. And that was my indoctrination in the beginning of my understanding of supportive housing. The supportive housing that is going to be undertaken in these units that we're building or opening here today. The answer to homelessness has to be in the support system that we surround these people with. We're delusional to think we can put them in 7,000 square feet for the past 35 years and everything's going to be wonderful. We need this facility. We needed it. And John is 100% right when he said, I wasn't convinced that they could pull it off. I knew they had site issues. I knew they had development issues. I had talked to the mayor. The mayor was in a quandary about locating other things around here. Hadn't made up his mind on a lot of things. And I said, wow, this is not going to be simple. And John came back a couple of times. The more nervous he got, the more frequent the visits became. So I got him at a stage where he was almost certifiable for a while. But he didn't lose faith, Father. He didn't lose faith. He's here because he truly believes in the mission. And we certainly owe John a tremendous debt of gratitude because it's his vision, his forcefulness, and his convincing of the great constructor in Quincy that this could work. And this is the model that is going to serve the residents of the South Shore. And you're right. You know, I'm amazed you're getting units in Hingham. That's all I'll say about that. I got to see him, though. I got to go down and visit. I want to touch him. I want to open the door. Make sure they're not giving you fake keys. We got to be sure. But no, I do think that this is the model. And if we can make this work, we can show everyone that this is what it will take to end homelessness, or at least make the dent in it that we should make. So with that, I'm excited about this. You know, I did sit there, just couldn't forget when I was running in a special election standing outside St. John's, which was a triple voting place for me. So I never left St. John's. And seeing Father Bill come down the walkway, and I said to him, and it was a holy day of obligation, actually. It was November 1st. So I said, Father, I said, you got a lot going on in the church. And I said, yeah. I said, there's a mass upstairs, and you get bingo down in the basement. And I said, both pretty crowded. I said, what's more important? And he grinned at me like he always used to do, and he said, I'll never tell. So with that, I will end this in the memory of the good father, who was quite a character and quite a great human being. So I'm happy to be here. I wouldn't have missed this for the world. So congratulations to all.
Thank you, Ron. I knew exactly where Ron's office was, of course, because when I was with Father Bill and when I joined the mission, Father Bill, of course, would be every Ash Wednesday, we'd go to the State House, and he'd give out ashes to everybody and then push the shelter line item, of course. And at the same time, the speaker was our friend Tom Finneran. And Tom said, John, give me a call anytime you need me. And I'm like, wow, the speaker's giving me access, not even from Quincy. And I said to Tom, and I said, why do you know Father Bill so much? He goes, I was an altar boy at St. Greg's in Dorchester. When we talk about political will, it's not just the state and the city, it's the neighborhood. The neighborhood has to welcome you. And when you're facing oppositions like we see every day about how to support our neighbors, we definitely see challenges and NIMBYism issues. But since the beginning, this city council has been tremendous. And I want to really thank all the city councilors that are here today. I've seen Noel, I see Nia, I think I saw James and Anthony, and of course Dave McCarthy, our ward councilor here. You know, the city council and us, we met several times, and about this project, and we understood how difficult it could be. But our ward councilor Dave McCarthy really rallied and asked the right questions and talked to the local neighborhood about this opportunity. The whole city council voted in favor of the 99-year lease. So with that, you know, when you get the whole city council on board, it was tremendous right away, and we knew we had a home run. And I want to thank all of them for all the hours they spent coming down, getting tours, asking questions, inviting us up. It was a constant communication, and we knew that they were really educating themselves about that. And that's all we ever ask, is learn about what we're proposing, look at the data and the research, and look at the compassionate response we want to put forth here. So with that, I want to thank all the city councilors, and I also want to thank Dave McCarthy as our ward councilor for all of his support, and we'd love everybody to welcome Dave up here.
Good morning, everyone. Speaker Mariano mentioned the word faith, and Father Bill McCarthy had that Christian faith. I knew the father pretty well, and he had a passion to go up and beyond the call of duty all the time, but especially in regards to what's transformed here, Father Bill's. And it's a true transformation down here on Broad Street. We mentioned the mayor and all the projects that we have, all the good, positive projects that we have going on. And when he came to me and told me, what we were going to do to Broad Street, and Father Bill's was going to be leading the way, You know, it was a win-win-win all the way around for the entire street, the police station, and the move out of what I consider the old registry building. It's just a huge transformation, a huge step forward when you go inside and see what we're leaving and what we're going to. I came in, I think right before COVID, and sat with John and Pat Ronan, and we talked. And I got you're not inside Father Bill's that much. And when I was in there and saw how, again, reminded how compacted those folks are in there, and how John and company were trying to make it work, especially in the winter months when they're trying to open their doors and take care of everyone. And now we have, a jewel here, a jewel that's about to be opened. So I'd like to say thanks to John and his entire staff, to the mayor, to the speaker, and to my colleagues on the city council. We'll wrestle in the parking lot every once in a while up there, and might not agree on everything, but when things like this come up, you don't have to. You look at everyone's eyes, they look back, and it's a go right off the bat. So God bless Father Bill's, and good luck and congratulations. Thank you.
I've been blessed here. I interned across the street while I was in college in 1995 at Father Bill's place. Thought I was going to go on to have a business career, and fell in love with the mission at Father Bill's place. When I was looking for jobs, I got a lot of thankfully good business offers. But then Joe Finn offered me a job to be a housing search worker, to come in and house everybody. And I know in my time there, I really realized what the vision was that actually Joe Finn was already doing, where he was applying and telling HUD what to do at the national level before HUD knew what to do. And then I just fell in love with Father Bill personally with him, and had a long run with him before he passed away. So I just want to give a special shout out to Joe Finn for all of his support through the years. One of the greatest things about Father Bill's in Mainspring is the people that work there. And, his father, it was Joe. And then there's been somebody that's been working with Father Bill's in Mainspring and with me directly for 15 years. Art, COO, has grown here, has probably had every job in the organization. But over the last couple of years, April Conley has really been the engine on the day-to-day to put these housing projects together. We could not have done this without her. And so I just want to take a minute and have everybody thank April Conley for all of her support. I want to really thank also a lot of friends of the organization through the years. Of course, our county, Norfolk County Treasurer, Michael Bellotti, our DA, Michael Morrissey, our Commissioner, Richard Stoddy. We've got both Senator Markey and Senator Warren's teams are here, Caleb White and Ben Thomas. Getting everybody together and supporting this in every facet has been tremendous, so I want to thank them. I know we've got great support from our Quincy Chamber, and President Tim Cahill is here. And of course, Peter Foreman, the South Shore Chamber, was actually back when we had a 10-year plan to end homelessness in the region. Peter was one of the chairs of that committee. So I really want to thank Peter. I really want to say to the interfaith community, members have been with us through all the years, as Father Bill's in Mainspring started as Quincy Interfaith Sheltering Coalition. All the interfaith leaders here in the churches have been with us since day one, and they've stayed with us and provided continued support, if it's day-to-day support for our guests or if it's advocacy that is needed. We greatly, greatly thank you for everything that you've done. you also, when you do a project like this, one of the things we're excited about is one of the housing resources that we've got in here is a very complicated resource, and it's probably complicated because the IRS runs it. But it's called low-income housing tax credits. Don't worry about it, but just know that low-income housing tax credits is the biggest and number one funder for affordable housing in this country. The problem is, it's not very friendly to people of very low income, especially homeless people. We're excited that Father Bill's in Mainspring now is getting into the world of low-income housing tax credits, because in the past, those programs have really been for affordable housing developments, but maybe not targeted for our poorest neighbors. You know, when you take money from the low-income tax credits, they actually expect the tenant, prospective tenant, to provide 7 years of tax returns to get into the building. We're walking up to people that are sleeping outside in parks and asking them for 7 years of tax returns. I don't know if I could give them 7 years of tax returns. So we've got a long ways to go to get the major funders to understand our population and make it easy to go in. But at the same time, it's a tremendous support and resource for us. So with that, I want to just say that we had great partners like MHIC that helped shepherd the low-income housing tax credits here, and you always need a great bank to be a part of that deal and also be the permanent lender here. So with that, we were blessed to have Rockland Trust step up, be a part of the permanent lending package, but also take on all the tax credits for us. The foundation actually also became a major donor for us. So we just can't say enough about the partnership of Rockland Trust. And with that, I want to invite John Quintel up from the bank to say a few words.
Well, these speakers have been amazing and a very tough act to follow. So as a banker, I'm going to play it the only way I know, conservatively. On behalf of Rockland Trust, we congratulate Father Bill's in Mainspring, the board of directors, and the individual and corporate donors, and the city of Quincy for navigating this very unique project from conception to near completion, a project which provides both permanent housing and valuable emergency and social services. To Mayor Koch and his staff, Councilor McCarthy, and Speaker Mariano, your thoughtful leadership and dedicated public service to the city of Quincy is much appreciated. To NeighborWorks Housing Solutions and the project development consultant, Emily Rothschild, you were great to work with during due diligence, underwriting, and construction. Every interaction you had with the bank was done with expertise, courtesy, and patience. To everyone that had a hand in planning and construction, architects, engineers, building trades, subcontractors, and of course Delbrook, all should take enormous pride in the finished project. To the executive leadership team at Father Bill's, John Yazwinski, April Conley, Katie Riley, and Jillian Ruppel, and the many other dedicated professionals, thanks for your selfless commitment to serving people in need. The care and hope that you provide to your participants is very inspiring. There are other agencies and organizations who have played and will continue to play vital and far-ranging roles in the project, including the City of Quincy, the Quincy Housing Authority, CDAC, DHCD, Metro Housing Boston, MHIC, and Maloney Properties. I realize now that in taking the tour with April that I've left out a lot of people, but thanks to those folks, you've all been great partners. In closing, I want to recognize my Rockland Trust colleague, Rick Morida, who oversees all the affordable housing initiatives at Rockland Trust. In the past several years, under Rick's leadership, Rockland has invested approximately $500 million, including both debt and equity commitments, in a multitude of affordable housing projects. Rick is highly respected in the industry and has been a great mentor and a great friend. Thanks again to Father Bill's for encouraging and allowing Rockland Trust to be part of your success.
Thank you, John. So this project is ending up to be about, between both buildings all combined, about $26 million. And we had to raise privately close to $10 million. So, you know, in the idea of like, want to first thank all the public funders, and to know that between the LIHTC deal and the Department of Housing and Community Development at the state level and the city's commitment, we were able to, you know, shepherd in about $15 to $16 million of the public side. But the 10 million, Father Bills had never done a campaign, a private fundraising campaign like that to that level. And so, you know, we put together a leadership cabinet group that came together of our donors to help us see the way to raising the $10 million. And I want to say thank you to our leadership cabinet. And I also want to say, you know, especially of the $10 million, that, you know, we had a tremendous in-house person that helped bring all that money in and work with all of our donors. And that's our Chief Development Officer, Katie Riley. Thank you, Katie. A shout out, of course, to our campaign people, Doug Briggs, Carol and Michael Bowman from Conway, John Donahue from Arbella, Deborah and Phil Edmondson, John Kugel from Eastern Bank, Jay Lynch from Lynch & Lynch, Don and Bob Pinot from Electro Switch, and of course our own Reverend Pastor Wismar. I want to thank especially you know, our major donors, and but you know, Arbella has been with us for decades. Their staff have been coming and serving meals. We've been blessed to have, before she just retired, Liz Kim, a longtime board member from Arbella. Bev Tangvik, who just retired from leading the foundation, has been a tremendous friend and believed in this mission. Recently, you may have heard, Father Bills in Mainspring purchased a hotel in Brockton and actually converted it to housing. We're the first ones in the Commonwealth to do that. And John Donahue and Arbella believed in it so much, they committed over $300,000 and the first one ins on that project. So with that, I want to ask one of our cabinet members and tremendous friend and leader here on the South Shore, who was with us from day one on this project, John Donahue from Arbella.
Well, thank you all for coming. This is an amazing day. It's so nice to be here and be able to celebrate this. As John said, I'm the CEO of Arbella and a member of the business community, both in Quincy and across the South Shore. And I just want to take my very brief time up here to thank the business community. You did such a tremendous job of stepping up with your time, your money, your knowledge, your employees. This could not have happened without all of your help, and I applaud all of you. There's so many of you, I'm not even going to try and mention all of you, but thank you for being part of this. But our work's not done. When those doors open this fall and the guests start coming in, we have as the business community, we have two very important things we need to continue to do. First, we need to continue to fundraise. All the money that's been raised is going into building this place. They're going to need money to run it, so we need to continue to be here and to support it. And secondly, we need to be advocates for the brilliance of this project and what it stands for, the first time taking a universal approach to ending homeless. We've got to make sure we reach out to the other parts of our communities, other business people that don't know about this, and get them on board, because this is the solution. But it only is going to happen if the business community rallies around it like you have today, but we've got to keep doing it. So keep it up, thank you, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, John, so much. And I want to just give a shout out to some of our other major donors that are here today. Of course, Doug Briggs and the Quincy Mutual Group's team, Phil and Debbie Edmondson, Bryce and Kathy Blair, Lisa and Bill Stanton, Vercalone family, Ron Dorsey from Eastern Bank and the Weymouth Rotary, and of course Jack Conway Company and Rockland Trust. It's a community coming together, and for us to be able to, our first time to have a major campaign and to be able to fulfill that on the Capitol side, we really thank you for believing in us. Thank you for all of your support, everybody. Well, when Father Bill was opening up his Rolodex for me, when he said that I was blessed to say I'm going to treat and be the succession plan for Father Bill's, one of the places he took me early on was over to see Maureen at the Yawkey Foundation. The Yawkey Foundation has been supporting Father Bill's in Mainspring almost as long as I've worked here. They believed in helping the fellow person that doesn't have a place to sleep tonight. We've been talking directly, Maureen and I, about this particular project when it was just in its infancy stages. Over the last couple of years, they knew that we were new to this type of funding area, but they always believed in us, and they said, keep coming back and giving us updates. As we started our campaign, and I think as they started to see the momentum that we were getting at the local and political and state level, we just had that opportunity where the Yawkey Foundation and Maureen, with her leadership, and Alicia Verity, really said, I think it's time to take it to our trustees and our board of directors for a major gift. And to say that, I just can't say enough, and I thank the Yawkey Foundation and all the trustees here today about believing in us and about being the major donor here at the $2 million level in that commitment here. So with that, I'd like to, for all of us, is to thank all the trustees and Maureen with the Yawkey Foundation, and I invite Maureen, the president of the Yawkey Foundation, up to say a few words.
Thanks so much. Thank you, John. We've known each other for a long, long time, for sure. Oh,
So Maureen,
oh.
when the building is done, this is what, will be put into the lobby area.
Oh, wonderful.
But we brought this one in here today for you and the trustees to bring back. It's a piece of the building.
Thank you.
And it's what the plaque will say, as we've worked with you and the trustees through the years.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Thank you. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, let's move it. Thank you so much, John. We have known each other for a long time, and I do remember Father Bill so fondly introducing us. And John and the team has really continued that mission, that sense of mission that sits behind this organization. I'm joined here today by one of our trustees, Bill Gutfard, but also the team. Yawkey's a very small team. People don't realize that. And so when we do a grant like this, when we have a relationship like this, it isn't just one person that's involved, it's our whole staff. And just about everyone. We've got someone back at the office holding the fort. But we do have Alicia Verity, who's our Chief Program Officer, John Redmonds, our COO, John DeSisto, our Investment Officer, Karen Green, Ann Fortune, and Nick Chan, who is actually, this is his first day with us. He's joining the team going forward. So it's, I don't know, this is going to be tough to beat, This doesn't happen every day. So on behalf of all of the trustees and staff of Yawkey Foundation, I just want to express congratulations to Father Bills for having the vision and the persistence to not only dream about this project, but to make it a reality. We see enough of these projects. People come to us and they have ideas, but to really execute the idea, to get it done, that takes persistence, talent, mission, and this organization has had that in so many ways. So for over 20 years, as people have said, we've supported the critical work of Father Bills, both here in Quincy and in Brockton. And it's a partnership that deeply resonates with our trustees. When John said we were going to go tell the trustees, we knew that it would resonate with them because it reflects the kind of support that Tom and Jean Yawkey gave to similar organizations during their own lifetimes. They always were interested in organizations that provided holistic, compassionate, and dignified care and basic needs to those most in need. So at the Yawkey Foundation, one of our top priorities is human service, and a key focus area is food and shelter, facilities and programs. We all read every day and see with our own eyes that the shelter system in our community is strained to meet the growing need for housing. As individuals, it can be overwhelming. What can we do? How can we help? and Father Bill's in Mainspring and their board and their volunteers and staff are showing us a way that we can help, not just today, but as John said, going forward. This center will be a much-needed resource for the South Shore community, and the programs that will happen here will offer hope and opportunity and will serve as a model for others working to end and prevent homelessness. So congratulations to everyone who brought this project to this moment, and best wishes to the board, the staff, and volunteers at Father Bill's as you move forward in your mission to help our most vulnerable neighbors. We thank you.
Danny Connolly struggled with alcohol and brought Danny to Father Bill's place in 2013. And he was in and out of Father Bill's for about 3 years. In shelter, Danny got sober, developed a love for cooking, became a hard worker and well-liked. In late 2016, he actually moved into his own apartment, continued to cook in his apartment, volunteering with us during the holidays. In 2017, Danny suddenly passed away at the age of 48. Today, we're blessed to have his sister Debbie joining us. As Debbie's words will show, providing support and a path home is much more than providing a bed and a meal. A path home means finding new hobbies and passions. It means achieving stability through job and health care and sobriety. And it means renewing connections with family and your friends in your community. So with that, I'd ask Debbie Griffin to come up and say a few words.
This cover of the issue before this last issue is my brother Danny. Good morning, Mayor Koch, Speaker of the House, Ron Mariano, Mr. Yuzwinski, Dr. Krasanik, Pastor Wismar, the staff of Father Bill's, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Debbie Conley Griffin. Daniel Conley, Danny, was my youngest brother. He spent several years as a resident at Father Bill's. A little history on Danny. He was the 9th of 10 kids, 6 boys, 4 girls, born to Pat and Claire Conley, a good Catholic family. Danny was independent even as a young boy. He was hardworking, a gentle guy who was on the quiet side, a hard feat considering that he came from such a big, loud family. We all wanted to be heard, and Danny would sit back and listen. Danny loved his family and his Irish heritage. He loved to travel, and travel he did in his 20s and 30s. Danny loved animals. He had several dogs, a 3-foot lizard, and a ferret named Katja who came to live with us. When Danny moved back to our house, I wasn't a fan of that. Danny was a whiz when it came to computers and worked for many years as a tech support in a financial company in Boston. When he got laid off from that job after working there for many years, things went downhill for him. He lost his apartment and his pride, and he came back to us. When we picked Danny up at the Quincy Center Tea Station, Danny was quite intoxicated. Danny lived with my husband, Jim, and I off and on for 20 years, but this time was different. Like I said, he was drinking a lot. It took a while for me to realize that Danny needed more help than we could give him, and after a lot of discussion and tears, my husband and I decided that we were not helping Danny, but enabling him, and decided to take him to Father Bill's. This was the hardest decision I ever made. We spoke with Danny about our concerns for him and the fact that we were not able to help him. It was a difficult decision, and Danny put up a fight for him. In the end, he agreed he needed help. Father Bill's was a godsend. Danny got sober. He got the counseling he needed, and he was actually happy. At Father Bill's, he discovered that he loved to cook and would send me pictures of whatever he made on any particular day, and that he was the sous chef for whatever famous chef that came in to cook at Father Bill's. He made friends with staff, residents, and volunteers, and through Father Bill's, he got a job and an apartment. This was a long journey for Danny, but in the end, it was Father Bill's, his sponsors, counselors, and Chris Everett who saved our baby brother. The fact that we knew he was in a safe place, got the help he needed, was such a relief to us all. And the fact that he was happy again, it made us realize that the difficult decision we made to talk to Danny about getting help and sending him to Father Bill's was what was best for Danny. Danny and I spoke a lot, and he told me that he knew talking to him and sending him to Father Bill's was what he needed at the time. It still breaks my heart a little that we had to do this. Tough love, I guess. Father Bill's offers so much to anyone in need, and the New Yorkie Housing Resource Center will be able to offer even more housing and programs for those who need it, something that can only improve the residents' quality of life. Father Bill's offered Danny job counseling, got him to see a doctor and a dentist, something that I wasn't able to get Danny to do, and he got a new set of teeth. The New Yorkie Housing Resource Center is only going to make the quality of life better for those who find themselves in a difficult situation, and the impact this will have on their families, knowing that their loved ones are in a safe, caring place, is an immense relief. I know it was for our family. Father Bill provides social services, job training, a place to live with furniture, and housing supplies, and so much more. I know when Danny got his apartment, it was a happy day for all of us, and best of all, he was just a half-mile away. Unfortunately, Danny died in August of 2017 from complications due to diabetes, and it was Chris Everett who notified me and helped our family in so many ways in the days and weeks after his death. Chris, we'll always be thankful. The Conley Griffin family will always be grateful for all Father Bill's did for Danny and us, his family, and are so happy that Father Bill's Yorkie Housing Resource Center will be able to help more Dannys in this world with the love, care, and more importantly, respect and dignity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Debbie, for sharing those words. And I think what we can all gather from that is that Father Bill's in Mainspring doesn't judge. We welcome everybody that comes to our doors. And as you can see, what makes Father Bill's in Mainspring such a special place is the staff that works at Father Bill's in Mainspring, as you heard through Debbie's words. We have a lot of staff here today. We have a lot of staff at our 28 buildings across the South Shore. But please welcome and thank all of our staff here today for all of their support. Well, as we move towards our conclusion, we're just blessed today to still have on our board of directors one of the original founders of Father Bill's in Mainspring, Pastor Wismar. When I became the executive director of Father Bill's in 1999, Pastor became the chair of the board at that time, so we were both in new roles and learned together. But I knew it was wonderful to have somebody like Pastor, who had been here on the front lines in the early 80s, like our good friend Reverend Sheldon Bennett. Thank you, Reverend, for coming. We're blessed to still have Pastor on our board. I think I won't let him leave. But he has been a leader in this community for people that are homeless and especially for our elder population with affordable housing. So with that, I'd ask one of our founders, a great friend, and one of our board members to come up and be recognized and also offer a few words of prayer. With that, Pastor Wismar.
Well, this day is absolutely unbelievably wonderful for those of us who have been around for decades trying to serve the needs of the homeless. We started very humbly in the ecumenical community meeting was started up at Sacred Heart Church with Father Heery. And he got together a number of people that were concerned if homeless people were showing up in the church grounds and in the doorways of our community. What can we do to help? And so it was a very humble beginning. And to have it see this kind of fruition is just unbelievably wonderful. Well, let's bow our heads in a word of prayer. Oh, Lord, we thank you for this day of new beginnings as we dedicate and cut the ribbons of these buildings which will serve those in need of housing among us. We thank you for the help of our mayor and political leaders whose support has made this day possible. We thank you for our director and staff at Father Bill's and Mainspring for turning this vision into a beautiful new reality. We thank you for the public and private grants which have so generously provided funding for these facilities. We thank you for the private donors whose generous gifts have helped make this day possible. We're so grateful, Lord, for all of them. We ask your continued blessing upon them and inspire them to continue giving service in days to come. Bless also, we pray, the laborers and those who have built these buildings, and bless our staff who work so hard to keep construction moving forward. Be with them and support them now as they begin a new chapter in serving our homeless sisters and brothers. And be with our guests who will find housing and encouragement here in days and years to come. As we are about to open the doors of these new facilities, bless all who will serve and all who will be served. Strengthen our will to continue to show love and kindness to the least among us, and open our hearts to give to and support this ministry of mercy in our midst. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
So people always ask me, why I've been with this mission now for 27 years. Well, it's because of days like today. It's because of our board of directors, our supporters, our volunteers, our donors, the whole community. And it's also really about our staff and our team here at Father Bill's in Mainspring. This organization is solution-oriented, it's strategic, it's courageous, but it's also very caring. We thank you for your tremendous belief in our mission, and to know that we are just starting. We need to continue to develop the housing that's needed for our fellow neighbors. So with that, I really thank you for your time today, your support, and we can't wait to welcome all of you to come back and see the building when it's in action. Please volunteer and be a part of this mission if you aren't yet. With that, I would just ask as we break to people to come over, as I'd ask all the speakers and the donors to be a part of the ribbon cutting. And then for people that haven't gotten tours, we'll continue to provide tours after the ribbon cutting. Thank you, everybody. God bless, and have a great day.